Greetings and thank you for joining us at FutureMoneyTrends.com. I'm here with Kerry Lutz. He's the host and founder of the Financial Survival Network, where it's all about what's next. He's interviewed everyone from Jason Hartman and Rick Rule, John Rubino, Jim Rogers. A lot of great information, and the cool thing, it's very social network friendly. So if you want to listen to him on iTunes, if you're a Facebook person or YouTube person, it's all there. Or you can just go to the website, thefinancialsurvivalnetwork.com. Kerry, thanks for joining us.
Hey, well, I appreciate you having me on there, Dan. It's a pleasure.
Well, Kerry, we first met in person recently at the Liberty Symposium, the second one. First one was in Dallas, second one's was in Vegas. It was an amazing group of people, and I really wanted to have you on the show today to really talk about thriving in the new economy, because a lot of people get so stuck on the prepping part, which is important and prudent, but we kind of forget about the hey, we still need to live and thrive. And you have an amazing background where you were an attorney, a serial entrepreneur, and here you just went, all in on helping prep and prepare people for the new economy. So I kind of just want to start off with, as far as businesses right now or entrepreneurship, just any advice you have that you kind of tell people like, hey, okay, you got your gold, you got your food. Now maybe you should consider doing a business or doing something. How would somebody even get into doing something like that if they were currently working or unemployed?
Yeah, well, the key is, I think, find something that you love doing, that you've always wanted to do, whether it's real estate related or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I mean, if it's knitting, I've talked to people who are really into knitting, and if you have an expertise, if you have a love of something, a knowledge, and you really work hard on it. And I heard this from Jim Rogers. I mean, the guy is a billionaire, for crying out loud, but he said, just follow your love, follow your expertise. And even, who was it? Somebody at Casey Research told me this, David Gowland, said, just take your expertise, spend 2 to 4 hours a day for 6 months working on it, learn everything that you possibly can, connect with people, network with people, which the internet makes it easier than ever to do. And, within a year, set up a website, set up a blog, whatever. Within a year, people will actually pay you for that knowledge. Now, my goal was never to get paid for my knowledge. I think there's a lot of people out there who know a heck of a lot more than me, and my goal is to bring them to you and bring their knowledge to you. I mean, somebody like you, Dan, knows more about this stuff than I do, in my opinion. Bring your knowledge to people and get advertisers, sponsor the show, and help the public that way. But there's so many different ways, so many different models to make money in this internet world that really the opportunities have never been greater. As traditional business changes, a lot of it dies, brick and mortar, retail, that type of thing dies. The internet opens up opportunities that you never believed were going to exist before, that were never here. And it's miraculous.
Yeah, looking back, I mean, with the way business was maybe 20 or 30 years ago, and now how it is today, I mean, you've been an entrepreneur your whole life. Have the floodgates just been open? Because, I mean, I'm seeing people even, this has been going on for years, but, I mean, now people successfully self-publishing books. Has the floodgates opened for anybody who wants to, is the internet kind of the Wild West for entrepreneurs still?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like you don't have to work. You got to do more work than ever, but your work pays off more than it ever has before. And the opportunities, it's just amazing. And you don't have to necessarily give up your day job to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to, if you have this love and you have this passion for doing it, the rest will come. That's what's amazing about it, Dan. And, it's just out there.
Yeah.
And if you like seashells, if you like wooden boats, I mean, a guy I heard of, he had a passion for wooden boats, and that's all he devoted himself to was wooden boats. And he's got a blog out there, and a website and a podcast about wooden boats. Now, I have no interest in them, but evidently there's 20 or 30,000 people in the country and even more in the world, and that's it. The barriers, it's no longer what's going on in the U.S., it's what's going on in the world. I have a mastermind group of internet broadcasters. There's 4 of us. One guy's in Calgary, one guy's in London, and the other guy's in Paris, and we get together weekly to talk about how we can improve what we're doing and how we can help each other improve. And you could never do that before.
Yeah.
So
that's funny. One of my best friends today is from Israel, and he met me he was a Future Money Trend subscriber, and he just reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to come to California. Let's meet." And so we met in Carlsbad and spent a week, and since then we've done a few more vacations, but it is amazing how our ability to access people. Well, hey, on the economic front, okay, so yesterday we had some news come out. The GDP numbers contracted about 2.9%. It kind of, even the manipulated numbers are showing that the U.S. recession is looming. Are you like what is your mood and kind of feeling of this whole thing right now? Because I know, look, the numbers are manipulated. We know things are bad. But, when I listen to, your interviews, I'll listen to, with Martin Armstrong or somebody, and then I'm kind of like, man, things are getting really bad fast. And then I'll listen to, you talk to Tom Dyson or Jason Hartman, and I'm like, maybe things aren't that bad. And what are you kind of thinking? You talk to so many people, and of course you've looked at this stuff. Are you thinking we're getting ready to go into something severe here, or are we going to kind of just keep chugging along for another 10 years?
Well, look, we've been in a depression since at least 2008, and arguably started going into it 2006, 2007. I'm going to throw some housing numbers at you, because everything the government's been telling you, recovery, this, green shoots, lies. Okay, and I'm going to shoot some numbers at you, and you'll understand why. Because we all agree that housing is central to the U.S. economy. For better or for worse, the economy shifted to housing centricity because we have an expanding population. Therefore, you need more. You need more abodes, but household formation is down. So, March 2007, new home construction units, 858,000. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
March 2014, new home construction was about 358,000 or 354,000.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a recovery to you?
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It's much lower. It's half.
All right. December, okay, couple more numbers. I don't like throwing out a lot of numbers in radio interviews. I can go numbers, I can go charts with the best of them, but radio listeners generally like information in verbal form, not numbers, so we'll keep the numbers brief.
All right.
December 2000, I think it's 2006, existing home sales, 6.48 million. That's the annual rate. December 2013, 4.9 million. And that's with trillions of dollars or hundreds of billions of dollars backstopped by the federal government with literally no private mortgage money in the system at all. Okay? So we're talking 6.5 million as opposed to just under 5 million units. Does that sound like a recovery?
No, it's pretty ugly. I look at the same numbers as you're probably looking at, and I get it in my real, actual life, because both my neighbors on each side of me are foreclosed, and they both foreclosed in early 2013. One house is vacant. No one's ever knocked on the door. The bank's never done anything with the property, just sitting there. The other person has been squatting in it for about 14 months, 15 months. Then I just sold my house, as we had briefly spoke prior to the interview starting, but I just sold my house. The buyer is an FHA buyer, and then their down payment is coming with, it's like they call it like a silent second from California. So California is fronting the down payment, in the form of a second mortgage. However, they like forgive the mortgage after like the guy's lived there for 20 years or something. So anyway, he's 100% backed, and it's all government. It's all government. It really is scary when you think about housing and the importance of it. I mean, so much is centered around housing, and it's like a zombie. So we've never been out of the Depression. Is the point. So, if you go back to the Great Depression, which started in 29 and arguably lasted till the beginning of World War II, but really lasted to the end of World War II because, consumer production was non-existent during the war, but people voluntarily swore consumer consumption during the World War because it was an existential event, potentially existential. You see that these depressions go on for many years, and I tend to subscribe to the cycle people, Charles Nenner and Martin Armstrong, that basically this will persist till at least 2020, and the debt will have to be wrung out of the system. There's really no choice in the matter here. I know you lean on the inflationary side. Do you consider deflation a threat?
Yeah, I mean, it could work both ways, and nobody knows how this will go. And it's scary. There's no way to know how these things will unfold. The dollar is under attack, and you just don't know how it's going to go down. Nobody can predict these things. There's just so much happening. Yeah. Just can't tell.
I thought I could predict it, and then I was wrong every year after 2008. And
join the club. Different than any of us because you got all this government money, and they're determined not to let the Great Depression replay itself, but it's real hard not to. And then you got China determined not to let it happen, and you got all these central banks that think that they can control reality and they can control economies, and but then you got the cycle, and the cycle is supreme. And, I just don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that gold and silver will head higher and probably are the safe haven investments of this generation.
What about stocks or real estate and maybe undervalued markets, I guess? Do you advocate any type of that once you have your kind of gold and silver stash and your other hard asset investments? Do you suggest stocks?
Yeah, I think they're now going to be favorable investments. Mining stocks, for sure. There's a lot to be said about them, for them.
Yeah.
It's just a question of what happens next. And, wars and political instability kind of feed into precious metals, and, it's just a question of where we go to from here. And,
well, hey, Kerry,
I'm bullish on the metals.
Me too. Thriving in the new economy. Your show's a great example, and then now you've started the Liberty Symposium with Robert Ian, and you guys have done Dallas, you've done Vegas. Will there be a third?
Oh yeah, there'll be a third. In the meantime, you can go over to libertymastermind.us, check out what we've done. The videos are available. The one where you spoke as well. Yeah. I highly recommend them. I think you'll really get a lot out of them, and we just had such a great time doing them, and the response from the attendees was just beyond anything that you could have ever expected. Right?
I totally agree. Everybody had such a great time, and I mean, you're just there with a bunch of like-minded individuals. And yes, there were speakers. There were 15 speakers. However, there was so much conversation going on during the breaks, before, after. It really was like just this big mastermind group. It was one of the best conferences I've ever been to. In fact, if I don't know where the next one's going to be, but it'll give me a good reason to go on a short vacation here pretty quick. Hopefully, when will the next one be?
Probably in 3 to 6 months. We're still working on the logistics of it, and can't say the venue yet. But we like to vary them in different parts of the country, and think you will enjoy it.
Now,
that's the main thing.
Wayne Allen Root spoke the night before. I had never heard of this man, but man, he's a gifted speaker, because I could have listened to him speak the whole day the next day. I mean, he was one of the best keynotes I've ever heard, and I've been to a lot of these conferences and stuff, and even like Casey Summit and stuff like that, where these guys they bring in these high paid speakers where they pay him like $30,000 or whatever. Wayne Allen Root was like seriously in the top 2 that I've ever heard. Where did you find this guy?
Well, I'm always looking for new guests. I have regular guests on the show. I've got a core dozen or 2 dozen, which you're going to have to become one shortly here. I've been meaning to reach out to you, but we'll catch up with you. I know you're busy. But I've got this core, and somehow he's from Westchester County in New York, where I lived for 2 decades, and we just kind of hit it off. I just connected with him, and I had been finding him on Fox. A lot of blogs his work was coming up on, and he's more political than I like to get. I'm really more into the economics of the thing.
Yeah.
The politics to me are driven by the economics, and I'm just not into ideology. It just really does nothing for me at this point in my life. But putting all that aside, he's a bright guy. He's got a real interesting life story. His father was a butcher, and he went out to Vegas, became an odds maker, and he's just and he was in Columbia at the same time as Obama, and he had these professors, the same ones that shaped Obama's philosophy. So we just really hit it off, and I said, we're doing this thing in Vegas this time, and he said, well, you got to let me come. And, hey, I said, well, of course, who else would we have? And, fascinating guy. He was a libertarian vice presidential candidate a few elections ago, so he's really in tune with a lot of our thinking. And just one thing led to the other. It was really just great.
Yeah, he was great. I hope he's at the next one. He was just amazing. So he was without a doubt the best speaker there. So, well, hey, Kerry, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us about thriving in the current and the coming economy. If people would like to reach out to you, I assume they just go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com, correct?
That's it. Or they can reach me at KHL@kerrylutz.com, and we answer all emails.
I appreciate your time, and this will be posted on YouTube as well as futuremoneytrends.com, but we're going to get into iTunes pretty soon and SoundCloud and all that stuff. So I was kind of inspired by you when I spoke to you there. You were just talking about like just being at all these different social media outlets for people to find your work. So looking forward to joining you on iTunes, because that's where I listen to you, is on iTunes.
Terrific.
So
excellent.
All right, Kerry. Well, you have a great day.
We'll talk soon.
Thanks very much.
You too.